How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with your host, The Savior. And yes, I do say today's video is a great one because we have the lovely opportunity to discuss Assassin's Creed Shadows. Finally, well done Ubisoft, well done. You finally caught up with the times. We've all been dreaming about what would it be like if we had Assassin's Creed 1 or Assassin's Creed 2, but it was set in Japan. That would be awesome. That would be great. But then sadly, reality sets in. You wake up and then you realize, wait a second, I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm not playing Assassin's Creed 1 for the first time. I'm not Ezio running around with dual blades. Things have changed. Assassin's Creed has changed.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Yes, then you know what I'm saying.
Assassin's Creed today has become a bloated, repetitive, almost mobile-like AAA slop type video game. And I'm not saying that to, hate on people who do enjoy it, okay? If you enjoy Assassin's Creed, more power to you. There's really no hate here. We all have our different, perspective and biases towards certain media. If you enjoy Assassin's Creed, then that's great. I'm glad that you are still enjoying it. But I personally have not enjoyed an Assassin's Creed game since, I would say, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So today we're going to discuss Assassin's Creed Shadows and talk about the Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews and what's going on with the Assassin's Creed Shadows drama, controversy, and all that stuff. Now, I actually live in Japan, and I know how some Japanese people are feeling about this, and it's not good, okay? A lot of people are just riled up and, they just want drama for the sake of drama. They're always looking to call something woke because there's tons of grifters now on this website, and it's very sad, but that's just the state of media and discourse because we've all become very tribal and isolated in our little echo chambers. There's just tons of grifters out there who literally call everything woke, okay? And the word woke has also become completely diluted and lost a lot of meaning. But there is a case to be made for forcing identity politics in video games, and I absolutely hate that shit as well.
The most disliked trailer in the series history.
This hate that he's getting does not make any sense.
There's ways to discuss politics, ideologies in video games, and there's also ways in which you do that and alienate the player base, and I'm going to touch on that later. But today I am going to be talking about the Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews. What will the Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews actually be? What is the general, discussion around this game right now within the gaming community and within the gaming journalist space, as I sadly now count as one of them, although I actually try and give you honest reviews and I'm not biased. Big gaming review channels as well, they also profit off of drama, they also profit off of, controversy, and they will only praise games, pretty much, when it suits them, when they can get something out of it, when they can get more money, when they know they're going to get early access and all this stuff. So you have to understand just how corrupt the industry truly is, and I'm just going to try and tell you honestly how it is, and the whole discussion around this game.
This is really good comment. Oh my god, I feel Yasuke now. Yasuke really had their own struggle. They were kidnapped as a slave in a European and they brought in Japan. And then Yasuke started living in Japan. He had his own struggle. This game is rude for Yasuke as well. Really. I'm so mad at Ubisoft now. Again, this comment is amazing. This comment is saying truth. This game only sees Yasuke as a black person. It shows Japanese is not really against some specific group of people. We are mad. We are really mad at Ubisoft. Really, really disregard to Japanese culture and history.
But as I alluded to in the beginning, I'm not a big fan of Assassin's Creed, so I'm coming from that perspective as I talk about the Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews, and I will be giving you my review very shortly in a couple of days. But I did enjoy the older games. I was a massive fan of the older games. They were truly something special and unique back in the day. Ever since they tried to focus on action RPG elements and implementing them very badly, in my opinion, with the combat system, the spongy enemies, the rinse and repeat design philosophy of these bloated open worlds with checklist objectives and not really engaging stuff in the open world to do. There's no point regurgitating that. We all know the problems with modern day Assassin's Creed games, but they do still sell a lot of games, surprisingly, or they used to, not so much anymore. Ubisoft is now really in the danger hot seat zone, and they are probably going to go bankrupt, and this game is not going to help, let me tell you. I do hope you enjoy this Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews video as we take a look at this game. I always do that now with big AAA releases. I split them into 2 videos. I do my reviews, discussion video, and then I do my early review. And if you want more detailed, deep analysis on video games, check out my video essay series and my yearly reviews, in which I go back and look at older games and give them a deep analysis and a philosophical perspective. And I also do philosophical content on this channel. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe right now. I would appreciate it so much. You have no idea. I put everything that I am into this channel. I'm passionate about building up this community, having a real back and forth with you guys. If you care about OG YouTube, not this bloated bullshit machine that it's become of corporatism and all that stuff, I do try and keep it real with you. I always tell you if I have a bias, and I try and keep it objective and destroy tribalism. And consider supporting me and saving yourself some money by using my link on Instant Gaming. You can get any game there, and they always have massive discounts for you to enjoy. So save money, play some games, use my link, and it supports the channel, and you get a massive saving, because honestly, the deals on Instant Gaming are better than most other platforms, to be honest, which is pretty crazy stuff. First of all, we have to understand why Assassin's Creed Shadows is like this way. Why is it in such, trouble at the moment? Well, first of all, the game has been leaked, okay? The game has been leaked quite recently, and a lot of people are playing it early, and, it's not looking good, let's be honest. So that's one thing. We can already see that the quality here hasn't actually changed from the original RPG Assassin's Creed formula. It's the same thing, just a new slap of, paint, calling it a Japanese samurai game. They do that with all of these different history periods, but they haven't actually nailed the genre and vibe, if you ask me, since Black Flag. Since the Renaissance, the Crusades, and Black Flag, they were really detailed, and they actually played the gameplay mechanics into the setting. Ever since then, it's just been like a coat of paint, and it's very surface level. It doesn't go any deeper than that. And it just stings even more because they refused to do this idea for so long, but then when Ghost of Tsushima came out, and it just blew everyone away because that's how you make a high quality, samurai game, this just fails in comparison to that game. I don't know why you would play this game when we already have Ghost of Tsushima and a new one coming along very shortly, because it doesn't actually succeed as a samurai game. Then we get into the whole drama and controversy of it not respecting Japanese culture and history.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Yes. Then you know what I'm saying.
Now trust me when I say this, as I've been living in Japan now for over 2 years, my partner is Japanese. The Japanese people are very serious about upholding their traditions and values and culture, okay? Almost to the point where they're sometimes left behind because they just can't let go of the past. They are very respectful people. They have deep-rooted beliefs in the Shinto religion and Buddhism, and it goes into their very, DNA as a culture. They are very rigid in their thinking, which is sometimes a negative, but at the same time, they think as a collective, so it can be very good and productive, and compared to the West, I think it works a lot better. But you've got to understand that when you change their history, when you kind of walk over their culture, if you come to Japan and you don't respect their culture and you just walk into a house with shoes, for example, or you don't act properly at a temple, or you have really bad manners when you're using chopsticks, for example, anything small, it might sound annoying, but they are very particular in how they do things. And although they won't actually say it, they will be judging you, and they will think of the West as rude if they don't conform to their society. And I believe that's true. When you go to a new culture, you should adapt to their culture because it's their goddamn culture. You don't bring in your own values and traditions and then force it upon another culture, okay? When you set your game in a historically somewhat accurate setting, but don't pay tribute to the culture or the history, you're gonna have problems, okay? So when Assassin's Creed Shadows sets their game in a historically, accurate period that actually took place, even though it's historic fiction, they're still setting it in this time period, and they expect people to just, look over the fact that you're playing as a black samurai, okay? And, people would bow down in respect and fear of this person, and they were treated 100% the same as Japanese civilians and actually higher up because he's a samurai, and they have like this tier system. Check out my Bushido philosophy video if you're interested in the kind of tier system of how feudal Japan used to work. But it's just nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. They aren't respecting Japan, and they aren't even respecting the people that they're trying to virtue signal to. That's the problem. They're actually disrespecting both sides, and that's why Assassin's Creed Shadows has had such drama and controversy around it. Now, we saw what happened with Dragon Age the Veilguard, okay? That was a complete shit show because they were trying to force modern day real world politics into a video game, and you can do that if you do it in a nuanced way, like in Fallout New Vegas, for example, or Baldur's Gate 3. There's ways to do that, okay? And that's what we want. We want deep, interesting stories with morality and consequences that make us think. We don't just want these light RPGs. We still want an immersive story being told to us, and when it doesn't respect the history or the culture, and it doesn't deliver that story in a nuanced way, in a balanced way, where you can form your own perspective, but it's going down the route of Dragon Age, the Veilguard, where it force feeds you this modern day message and it doesn't conform to the actual fiction of that world, then that's the problem, because that's not how you tell a compelling story. That's how, you just get co-opted by someone trying to force an ideology down your throat. It is literally propaganda. That's when you can call something woke. And I believe that Assassin's Creed Shadows is definitely woke, if you want to use that word.
This is what he said in an article titled, "Can Stories Be Apolitical?" He says, quote, "They may become political as societal norms change, but I believe it's possible to do apolitical games. I also don't condemn developers who want to do political games or make a statement. I think a game is served better by asking a question, provide a range of perspectives on the question, but then leaving the answer to the player. I try to frame any politics in the parameters of the world, the lore, and the franchise." Chris goes on to say, "The reason I take this approach is because I view games as entertainment. If you're purposely pushing an agenda or point of view in your game, especially a real world one that's clearly divorced from the game world, and you're dictating that perspective as correct versus asking a question or examining the perspective more broadly, then it's left the gaming realm and the game has become a pulpit. A pulpit being a raised platform or lectern from which a preacher delivers a sermon. I think a game, especially a role-playing game, can have considerable amount to say by examining what the player brings to the equation and players asking themselves what kind of character and what kind of player they are when confronted with a situation that's not clearly black and white. That is the magic trick of writing politics in video games."
Ghost of Tsushima did such a good job of introducing Japan as a setting and having a samurai game set in this period while making it historic fiction and fun and as a video game, but still respecting the culture. For example, you even have like a dedicated button to bow, which is very important in Japan. They understood the different aspects of their culture and history. There's nothing wrong with having a colored protagonist, okay? I want to make that clear. I'm not against, having, women as protagonists or having people of color as protagonists. Funny enough, I don't give a shit, okay? We're all the same. Humans are all literally the same, and having division because of race is literally the most stupidest thing you can ever think of. It means you're very low IQ because you don't understand human evolution. But I digress. The point is, that could have been a unique story by itself. It's a real shame video games have turned out this way, because they are transformative art. They are ways to experience and actually directly, interact with fiction, with these fictional worlds, with stories that make us think and question ourselves. And you can blend all of these different genres together. But when you are doing a historic video game, even if it is not, a truly historic video game, it's a fictional historic video game, you still need some common sense. Ubisoft, of course, following, American political trends, they don't care about this. They just want the brownie points to make extra ESG money and have a higher ESG score and all this stuff. And that's why a lot of these games are dying, because they're, interacting with disgusting companies like Sweet Baby Inc. and all this stuff. And we really do need to be careful, because otherwise we aren't going to have stories set in the actual universe of that game, and it's just going to, replace actual storytelling. So now we understand the drama, the controversy around Assassin's Creed Shadows. Sorry that was such a long-winded explanation, but I just feel very passionate about this topic, especially as I live in Japan, and I just want to give you my perspective. I think in my Assassin's Creed Shadows review, I'm actually going to get my partner's perspective as well, so you can really see it from a Japanese perspective. But it's just ridiculous that video games have gone down this route when they used to be about passion, creativity, and pushing the envelope forwards with gameplay design, narrative design, and just giving freedom of expression to the player. Assassin's Creed used to be somewhat about that, but that has completely degraded as Ubisoft itself has degraded. Now let's discuss what I think Assassin's Creed Shadows reviews will be, my prediction for them, and then we'll actually talk about some of the gameplay stuff and round off the video. But I honestly think that Assassin's Creed Shadows is still going to get decent scores from the game journalists, the big gaming outlets, because Ubisoft, even though they are plummeting, they are a pillar of the AAA gaming community. And big outlets are going to still rally behind them because they are a company that pays out to these game journalists. They send them on luxury trips and stuff like that. And I'm sure I'm never going to get that from this particular developer, but I'm not too worried about it, as I think they are on the way out. But it is still very much I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch my back type deal with Ubisoft. So I think it's still going to get 7 out of 10 across the board from, GameSpot, IGN, all of the big outlets and stuff like that, and some big game reviewers. 7 out of 10 is such an easy score to give, because it doesn't actually mean anything. It means it's way above average, but it doesn't sound so amazing like an 8 or a 9 or a 10, so that's why they always use 7 out of 10. That's why I don't score my reviews. With my Assassin's Creed Shadow review, I'm going to give you positives and negatives. So I still think it's actually going to score quite highly, and I think the core Assassin's Creed fanbase are still going to find something to enjoy in this game, because it still does have that Assassin's Creed formula in a new setting. But for most people who are now sick and tired of Ubisoft, they're going to completely just, this game is going to be absolutely rated worse than Starfield, worse than, Bethesda games. It's going to be completely, somewhat unfairly rated, I believe, because of the discussion around this game. So it's going to be a very interesting game, because it's not going to have fair reviews either way. Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews are going to be either completely negative or universally positive. And they won't actually reflect the nature of the game itself. That's why I think the Assassin's Creed reviews are going to be insane, and it's such an interesting game to talk about. Is Assassin's Creed Shadows worth playing? Is Assassin's Creed Shadows good? That is the actual real question, because the gameplay systems here haven't actually changed much, and they've done a lot to actually make it a lot worse. So if you ignore all of the controversy and just look at the gameplay itself, you play as 2 protagonists, okay? And that's never been done well in Assassin's Creed. They have no chemistry, but the problem is that this isn't a real Assassin's Creed game anymore. It's trying to be a samurai game, which it fails at because the combat system isn't good, and the main character that you play as, the guy, I can't remember his name, Yasuke or something, basically he doesn't even function as an assassin. He functions as this giant, you know, just beast, this giant powerhouse where you can basically just go in and kill everybody. It's not difficult, it's not challenging, and it has ridiculous, you know, like ridiculous fantasy, like you would see in a fantasy game, moves where he can literally jump around like he's the goddamn Flash on steroids or something. But then in the actual gameplay, he can't do simple things like climbing and stealth, so it makes literally zero sense with its actual gameplay mechanics. Also, fundamentally, it hasn't changed much. Yes, it's got less UI and, you know, less map markers, because Ubisoft are trying to work on that now. But sadly, the actual game design hasn't changed at all. It's still a Ubisoft game where you go out and you clear out camps, you're still fighting these, you know, spongy enemies, and you're just doing, you know, open world busy work. So that actually hasn't changed. So I don't think fundamentally this is actually even a good video game anymore. Maybe like 10 years ago it would have been okay, but add on top of it the controversy, this game is going to be absolutely, you know, just a complete shit show. The world and the NPCs feel as lifeless as ever. They haven't updated any of their systems, the AI, the combat system, any of that stuff. Like I said, it is just a coat of paint. The only thing that's slightly different this time around, like I said, is playing two different protagonists, but that just separates the playstyle. And yes, there's different gameplay elements if you choose one or the other, which is quite cool, and different story elements. In that sense, it might be interesting to play this game twice if you're a massive fan of this game, but it fails as an Assassin's Creed game, and it fails as a samurai game. So that's why I don't think it's actually going to perform well as an actual game. And that is why the Assassin's Creed Shadow reviews are going to be insane. I will talk more about the Assassin's Creed Shadows combat in my full Assassin's Creed Shadows review coming out very shortly. I do hope you enjoyed this Assassin's Creed Shadows reviews discussion, because I think, like, I just wanted to talk about this game as it's been, you know, on my mind for a long time, and I know the gaming community is absolutely curious about what's going to happen with Assassin's Creed after this game. I haven't talked about it before, I'm not one of those milking YouTubers, but I still wanted to give you my actual honest opinion about it. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like the video, and if you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Peace out.